Welcome back to Crime Besties. We are here for another episode of our podcast. So thanks for joining us again.
We are, and your voice is somewhat back, but still a little bit croaky.
So we've actually had a week off recording. So our last recording was 2 weeks ago. And I think in that recording I was like, I'm just sort of getting over being sick. Turns out I'm still coughing and still a bit congested, but I don't think I sound quite as sexy as I did last time.
Unfortunately, not quite as sexy.
Yeah.
But
I
well,
mean,
that's
it's okay. So again, apologies if coughing and all that sort of happens in the background. I'll do my best to get through. But yeah, anyway, how have you been?
Yeah, good. Got school gone back this week. Crazy, which is. I mean, I've loved these school holidays. We've had a great time, but I'm ready for routine. So
I'm the same. So I was saying to one of my colleagues at work, I'm like, I'm really ready to get back into routine, but my God, it's a rude shock because everything goes back in this school week.
Well, yeah.
So you're back at school, you're making lunchboxes every day, all the sporting activities are back, everything. It's just like you go from nothing
literally
to everything in the space of a day.
Yeah, well, I went back 2 days before the kids kind of thing to work as well. So I feel like I've well leaned into these holidays, I felt, and I was not prepared.
Okay.
I literally last night was like, I finished doing dinner, we'd all done all those sorts of things, and I'm like, I am sitting on the couch.
Yes.
And I sat down and went, oh my God, I could literally fall asleep because I've done 3 days of work in a row already.
What is this?
What? I was like exhausted, but my kids after their first day back, they were pretty done too.
Yeah,
so
my kids were absolutely tanked last night. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, I think,
Yes.
Let's get them back into their routines and stuff. But yeah, I'm sort of glad that it's 2 days they're at school and then we've got the weekend. Although, did you notice we've got an 8 a.m. basketball game for the young ones on Saturday?
Yes. Oh, and all the way where it is because that's my furthest travel.
Yeah.
And 8 a.m. It just
It's the
kills me.
worst.
They are the worst.
I can't wait until they go up to under 10s because at least then you're less likely to get an 8 a.m. game.
Well, literally because my older ones, the under 10s, in that group chat, we've got the rest of the season got announced and it got put into the group chat like, yay, everyone, we're no 8 a.m. games ever again. Yay. Like, because then they move on to under 12s and then that's not going to happen. It's not even a thing. And so we're like, never have to do the 8 a.m. game again. Yay. And all these people going, this is amazing. And I'm like sitting here going, my younger one has them still, and I've got them. We've got quite a few this season.
Yes,
unfortunately.
I feel like we've gotten them
pretty much every
more
week.
often than not.
Yeah. And if it's not 8 a.m., it's 8:45.
Yeah. It's so annoying. Anyway, they love it. So
they do. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to watching the sports. I love watching their sports in the mornings. I really love it. But
me too.
It's just the getting up and getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least there aren't lunch boxes.
Yes, that's true. On Saturdays, on the weekends. Yeah, that's true.
Is there anything worse than doing lunch boxes?
Well, see, I feel like I've got one kid who I love making a lunchbox for because he loves
food.
Anything, and he also food, and he always comes up with like these creative ideas.
Yes,
one of our friends actually sent me a TikTok the other day of these lunchbox ideas, and one of the things that she sent was a rice paper roll, and Oliver loves a rice paper roll.
Love a rice
but
paper roll.
But it had chicken Caesar salad in it.
Oh, yum.
So it had croutons, roast chicken, the lettuce, parmesan, Caesar salad dressing, and you wrap that all up.
Yeah.
And Oliver's like, oh, Mum, you have to make them for me. I'm like,
actually,
easy.
over this, I watched a video of like a woman where she made a Caesar salad, but then she like cut it all up like really, really small and made it into a wrap. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. I mean, it's still the same flavors. You don't necessarily need it being like full and intact. Like, it's like, oh, that makes a much, easier sandwich to make.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm down for that.
Yeah. So got some good ideas. But then my younger one, sort of similar to your kids.
Yes.
He literally eats the same thing every single day. So, I mean, while his lunchbox is probably easier to put together because I don't have to think.
Yeah.
It's boring.
It is, and it's that. But the issue with the strict lunchbox is with someone who's more flexible. It's like, oh, I'm out of this. Oh well, I'll put this in instead. But with them, it's
you have to have the things on hand.
I've
otherwise,
just realised I missed the first day of doing them because I didn't have to do them yesterday. Was I haven't put the yogurts and Yakults and stuff in.
Okay,
and so they'll be mad with me. Yeah.
I hear.
Yep.
Anyway,
out of routine.
We'll get back into it. Next week's a new week.
Yep.
one of our fans actually,
yes.
from one of my friends from work, Jo, she was saying, she's like, let's just write off January. January's been a bit of a, I don't know, things have happened. It hasn't been the best month. Like, you know, she's had stuff going on. Lots of people have.
Yeah.
I've been sick. We've had lots of, and Ollie was sick as well. I don't know. It just wasn't the best start to 2025. She's like, that's fine because the year doesn't actually start until Feb. So
So
it's
true.
actually,
The year doesn't start
yeah.
until Feb. It's
So
very
she's like,
true.
don't worry about it. We've got a new fresh start in
new
Feb.
fresh
So
start.
we're recording this on the 31st of January. So from tomorrow,
Yeah, it's a new year.
it's a new year. We're all good. It's all fresh. We're going to start afresh and things are going to be good. We're going to be getting those groceries that we need and we're
Yep.
going to be
Yep.
on top of everything.
Oh, Jo, I'm down for that.
Yeah. So thanks for that one, Jo. It makes me feel a whole lot better about the whole thing.
Exactly. No, yeah, I'm definitely up for that. And a whole fresh start. Yeah, because January's just, I think especially because I'm off the whole time too, it just means it's just this limbo land of it's a whole other land that I live
Yeah.
in that time. And then it's, reality.
I find it so funny. So, like, I work in the healthcare industry, but a lot of what we do relies on patients, I guess, wanting to do certain testing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily urgent in most cases. So we find for us, January is dead. The second school goes back, we
Yes.
are like straight back into it. And that is exactly what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday morning, we were so quiet. So it's first day back at school for Victorians at the very least.
Yes.
Yesterday morning, we were really quiet. Then after everyone's done the drop off and getting back home, we were so busy. The phones just went nuts with people following things up and, you know, all that sort of
It's
stuff.
like,
So-
reality starts to kicking in and it's like you move into that next realm of the year is here.
Yeah, because I find even though I work through the school holidays,
Yeah.
I still find I put everything off because the kids are around and it's just harder to do things when they're there. And I'm like, no, once they go back to school, then I'll do this or whatever.
Like that was like even just researching for this, I found like during, you know, when we're in routine, and you'd think then when I'm working and I've got the kids doing all their stuff, you'd think you've got less time to do stuff. But I find it much easier to research because I have my allotted times and I know how my week works. Whereas when it was free for all and the kids are around more, I found it really hard to find time to research where it should have been like, oh, I've got all the time in the world to research. Like, should be doing this easy.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to next week's research because I feel like it'll just happen far more
Well, I hope
easily.
so. Stay tuned to the end of the episode. We'll let you know what we're researching, but my goodness, it's going to be a big one.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. But yeah, we're ready. We're raring to go.
Ready for Feb.
Yeah. Yeah.
The official start of the year. All right. So today we are talking about Maria Theresa James. So this is a really famous case in Victoria especially.
Yeah.
Maria lived in Thornbury. So that was back in the day, that was a really sort of working class suburb. And I mean, today it's certainly not like that at all. It's a very sort of hip and up and coming type of suburb. Lots of like very trendy people.
Very trendy place.
Yeah, living in and around Thornbury. Maria owned a bookshop at 736 High Street in Thornbury. Mm-hmm. And, well, not only did she work there, she actually lived out the back of the secondhand bookshop that she owned. So, she lived quite a you know, an eclectic life. Like, I can't imagine, you know, back in the day, I know like our local milk bar owner, they lived at the milk bar. Like, it was just quite common to have these kinds of businesses where people...
I think, and closer into the city, even more so, like around the Thornbury area, it was, you know, you either, you know, live above this shop that you run or, you know, at the back kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these days they probably have gutted those and turned them into bigger houses or bigger shops. But, you know, back then it was, you know, you did all in one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, almost like working from home. Oh, suck. But, no, very convenient because, I mean, I guess you could sit out the back and, you know, in her own house and doing her washing and have a cup of tea or whatever. And then if she heard the bell ring of the front door with the bookshop, I'm on work time now and I pop out the front. So, yeah, worked for her very well, I think. Yeah.
So Maria was a single mum by this stage and she had 2 sons. So we're going to talk about this. We were discussing this morning and timeline for this case is really complex because as the timeline progresses, we then in the future find out things that happened. And so we're going to do our very best to kind of explain things in blocks, I guess is the best way to do it. So Maria James was found dead on Tuesday the 17th of June in 1980 in her bedroom by her ex-husband, John James.
Yeah.
The way this all came about is such a fascinating story. And I think we probably also need to just really quickly pop in that this was actually our favourite detective, Ron Iddle's first ever homicide case. I think he was like 25 years old or something.
Such a young buck.
So young.
So many photos and video clips and stuff of like, and I keep trying to spot him, but you can't because it's like you're used to seeing him as who he is now. And I'm like, oh gosh, they're trying to find the young Ron Iddles in there. Like,
yeah, and they're all wearing their like almost bell-bottom sort of suits or like
and their
brown
mustaches.
Yes, it's all very very cute.
Yeah.
So this was actually Ron, as a homicide detective, solved 99% of the cases that he worked on.
He had a total of 320 homicide cases and solved 99% of them.
Incredible. That is unheard of in terms of a track record.
Yeah.
But to this day, the first case, this Maria James case that he worked on, has not been solved. And I know you watch interviews with Ron. We've seen Ron talk about this case live. It's always something he gets asked about because it is an anomaly in his career.
Yeah.
But he also says that when you hear him interviewed about this case, he often talks about the fact that he was learning. He didn't know.
No.
And there were so many errors and mistakes that happened, and we will absolutely get into all of that as we go through.
Yeah.
But you know, he said he learnt so much from doing this
and
as well.
He made changes, I think, as he progressed through his career, obviously, of like realising, you know, after the fact of like, yeah, that was wrong of us to have done that, you know, back in that case. So I think he brought so much to the team in that sense that, you know, being the young one on the group, that he brought through some real change along the way to make sure these cases were getting solved. Yeah. But I mean, I think it was lack of knowledge in general policing. It wasn't anyone's direct fault. I think they thought they were doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
It wasn't someone, you know, we'll get into the fact that there might have been other things at play. Yeah. But yeah, in general sense, the police officers were doing what was normal procedure of the era.
Yes.
But yeah, then obviously they've learnt from those things and have changed them up as they've gone along. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm. So on the morning of the 17th, actually we probably should start the day before. Yeah. Or should we? I don't know. I actually don't know where to start. Let's start on the morning of.
Yeah.
On the morning of Tuesday, the 17th of June in 1980, Maria takes so she's got two sons named Adam and Mark. Mm-hmm. Adam is 11 years of age and he has a disability. He has cerebral palsy and Tourette syndrome.
Yep.
And Mark is aged 13, so Adam's older brother, and they go to different schools. So Adam goes to a special development school and Mark goes to the local Catholic. I think he was in grade 6 at the time.
Yeah, he was. It could have been year 7 because he was like 13, wasn't he?
Yeah, I feel like
he might have been older.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, he went to the local Catholic school.
Yeah.
And so on this particular morning, Maria's made them scrambled eggs, which apparently during the winter was their absolute favourite go-to everyday scrambled eggs on toast for brekkie. Totally get that.
Get that. Love it.
And So Mark goes off to school on his own. He walks off and goes on his merry way, and Maria takes Adam to the bus stop where his special development school will pick up all the kids, you know, on their way and off and take them off to the
Should we
school.
note in terms of Adam, like I think people could very wrongly assume that Adam's disabilities meant that he was intellectually affected, and he wasn't. He's quite an intelligent, man now, boy at the time even. He can be hard to understand because with the various disabilities he's impacted with. But in terms of his intelligence, he was able to articulate himself very well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And he's got his own thoughts, feelings, opinions, and
that he can express.
Absolutely,
and, there's definitely. So I think,
and he's got a lot of very valid things to say, which again we will get to that.
But I guess
that's a good
era
point.
too, it could be very easily dismissed that with things like cerebral palsy and Tourette's that he could be just not have a lot to say, or
or
contribute,
that what he has to contribute might not be right
Yes.
or valid potentially.
Yeah.
That definitely will come into
this.
this.
Yeah,
absolutely. On the way home from dropping Adam at his bus stop, Maria stops to buy a cake from a cake shop and heads back home. So, as we were saying, she had a business in the front of her house. Apparently, there was something like 22,000 books or something in that place. And have you seen photos of what it looks like inside the bookshop? It was packed,
chockers,
floor to ceiling. There was not
even the windows at the front, just with books all in the
stacked
on the front
with books. There was
she bought
many.
and sold books, secondhand bookshop. But amazing,
incredible, And you think some of those books could have been there for ever and never been touched or seen by anyone, because imagine trying to
shuffle through them all and find. I'm sure she had a system.
She must have. She must have, because I think she was a very intelligent woman. I know she was very well respected in the community, and she sounded like she had a bit of a sparky personality, and she had lots of friends. And I mean, I guess if you own a business in the high street and there's people walking past all the time, you're sort of part of that scene, aren't you? And everyone kind of knows you.
And there was certainly regular business coming through there. Like it was, there was multiple people coming in a day. It wasn't like it sat there empty, without customers.
Yeah, I feel like in this day and age, maybe that would be the case. But it sounds like it was a thriving business. It was certainly enough to keep her afloat and the two boys.
Yep.
Her ex-husband, John, was definitely involved in the kids' lives, and they had a very amicable relationship. They always talked about things to do with the boys, and they'd catch up for coffees every now and then. I think Maria and John felt like they could call one another, for anything that they needed. So, they still had a relationship in which, they had the boys' best interests at heart. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and that all worked for them.
Yeah.
So Maria came home. She's got this cake, and at about 11:30.
Well, even just before that, she was seen with two real estate agents on Mansfield Street, Mr. Cyranotus and Mr. Mazveski. I don't know.
Good on you.
I reckon.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think.
Yeah. So two real estate agents she was seen on the street with as well.
Having a chat.
Yeah.
At 11:30, she phoned her ex-husband. So what was he, a town clerk or something?
Yeah, he was a clerk. Yeah.
And so she called him at work, and he wasn't there. His secretary took a message, and she said, "Yep, he'll be back really soon. I'll get him to give you a call back," which he did.
Yeah, he very promptly called her back as soon as he got in the office.
7 minutes, someone said. It was like quite quick, the turnaround.
Which is, as an ex-husband, he could have just got to work and gone, whatever. But he's immediately called her back. Yeah.
So I think that goes to show the type of
the
relationship they had.
For sure.
Definitely respectful of one another.
Yeah.
Maria gave no indication to his secretary what the call might have been about.
No.
But it certainly wasn't unusual for Maria to call him at work if there was something that they needed to discuss as well. So, it was a run-of-the-mill type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when John called, Maria answered the phone, and then literally seconds into the phone call, she says, "Oh, hang on," and she obviously has put the receiver down, because we're back in the day with corded phones attached to a wall or you're sort of hooked to a table or wherever the phone might be. And John can hear in the background that there's another voice.
Yes.
Can't make out what they're saying, but he knows someone's obviously come to the door. John listens, and he thinks he can hear an argument, or there's certainly terse words being spoken. And then he says he hears a startled yelp.
Yeah.
So not a scream, but a startled yelp and startled conversation. So this actually concerns him. So he starts to scream down the phone to kind of make some noise.
Too, trying to get someone's attention.
To be like, "I'm on the phone. What's going on?
Yes.
Come back, Maria. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
He hears another yelp at this point, and he's very, very concerned. So he goes to...
Well, then he hears silence.
Yeah, well, that's
Nothing.
the thing.
And I think that's
Yeah.
almost scarier than hearing noise at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Incredibly concerned. He leaves work. He says to his secretary, I've got to go and figure out what's going on here. This just didn't seem right.
No.
And he gets to Maria's house and place of work somewhere between 10 past 12 and 20 past 12 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Now, he goes to the front door of the shop and it is locked.
Yeah.
Which is unusual because the open sign is on the door.
Yeah.
He then goes around the back to enter the house part of the building, the back door, which is essentially like the house door.
Yeah.
And that's also locked. So he's like, oh, that's strange.
You can't hear anyone inside.
But he's concerned enough that he actually goes to a neighbour's house then to try and ring Maria's phone again to see, like, are you still home? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
He goes to the neighbour because, again, we're in an era at the minute where there's no mobile phones or anything like that. He tries to ring, but he gets an engaged signal. So he's like...
It's clearly off the hook still from his phone call to her. Yeah,
so
no one's
like,
put it back on. Yeah.
I have to... Oh, that's the other thing, sorry. As he's walking to the neighbour's house, he sees the curtain move.
Yes.
In the window.
He sees movement inside.
So,
which is corroborated then by someone else who comes to the front of the shop and to be as a customer and tries to go in, and they also said they saw a curtain move too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's incredibly concerning.
Yeah.
So
I
he's
think he
hearing
tried
nothing, seeing nothing.
the front and the back. He tried, like, between the two. I think he tried almost 4 times on each side.
Okay, so he's gone back and forth and back and forth.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then gone to have a look, gone to see whether he can find a neighbour to use their phone.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's obviously very concerned. So he actually climbs in an open window and calls out to Maria, like, Maria, Maria.
Yeah.
And hears no response. So he starts to walk through the house and he gets to Maria's bedroom, walks just inside. So her door is open. He walks just inside and sees her body lying on the floor and there's blood around her head.
Yeah.
This bit gets me. I mean, number one, how horrific would that be?
God.
To his credit, he doesn't touch her. I mean, I think
he could tell she was dead.
Yeah. There was
yeah.
She wasn't moving, breathing. And I guess the shock of it too, you would just go into action
I've got to get
mode.
help. I think was his, oh my God, this is not for me to, I need someone else here. Yeah.
So she's laying face down on the floor. Have you seen the crime scene photos?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. It just looks like she's just been discarded on the floor.
Yeah, well,
which is
pretty much. Unfortunately, that's probably the best way to describe it, I think.
Oh, it's horrible. So I mean, you can see these photos online if that's something that you feel that you would like to do.
Yeah. So hands are bound. And there was 68 stab wounds to her body. Yeah.
68. 68.
Horrific.
Oh, it's frenzied. They're all close as well.
Yes.
They're like, the in terms of the pool and splatter of blood, it's not like it's everywhere.
No.
It's like the first couple of blows probably took her down.
Yeah.
And then they've continued, the perpetrator or perpetrators have continued then to keep
going.
Oh,
because and he actually, when he first saw the body, and he thought that was like something spilt on her, like dust of some sort, like a powder or something.
Yeah.
But then when he's sort of taken it in properly, he's realised, oh no, that's not something on her shirt like that. That's the stab marks, like where the knife's gone in her
through
shirt.
the shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just horrible.
Yuck.
So he leaves back through the bedroom door and calls 000 immediately.
At the neighbour, yeah.
At the neighbour's house.
Yeah.
He then goes back to wait for the police at the he goes back to the bookshop, to the front of the bookshop, and as he goes there, the front door of the bookshop is now open.
Yes.
Now, in the time that John was making this 000 call, a woman driving down High Street, witnessed a man running away from the bookshop covered in blood. Right? So she says that this man was wearing a white shirt.
Yeah. And blue jeans and blue trousers.
Blue trousers. Yeah. So I don't know if that meant jeans or whether it was like slacks.
Yes.
I actually don't know.
No.
Another witness saw a black figure, a man, a short, stocky man, wearing all black clothes, a black shirt and black pants, standing in the doorway of the bookshop, again around this time.
Yeah. Because other people were coming to the front and buzzing the shop.
Wanting to get in and
trying to get into the
have
bookshop.
A look at the books. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the police arrive and, I mean, as John comes back after making his triple O call, there is actually a patron, somebody inside the bookshop looking at books, around, not knowing anything had happened.
No, yes.
As well. So much has happened in this fairly short amount of time.
We're looking at the triple O call came through at 12:32.
Yep.
So if we're saying John has arrived between 12:10 and 12:20 and gone back and forth 4 times around trying to get in, has eventually got in, called from the neighbour's place, all these sorts of things. It's a fairly short timeline of things going on. Yeah, and then in the time frame of going to the next door neighbour to call triple O at 12:32 and then coming back to the house and there's some customer just in the front and obviously has gained access through the front door of it being unlocked.
Yep. So what the police actually think happened was when John entered the bedroom and found Maria's body there, that the killer was actually hiding behind the door.
Which doesn't just freak you
out?
Oh
my God. You couldn't sleep.
No.
I mean, you couldn't sleep anyway after what he'd witnessed.
But to know that you could have been another victim of whoever this was.
Or you could have seen who it was. Imagine.
Yeah, to me it's more of the fact of he could have been killed too. This person would have, God.
I agree. I think he probably would have been.
Yeah. Which I think he's so lucky he didn't just knock the door and realise there was someone there, or if he just stepped in a bit further and in panic had stumbled towards the door and realised there's someone behind there.
I feel like I would have done that. I feel like if I saw, I don't know. I mean, you never know what you're going to do in a situation like that. But I thought it showed great restraint on his part to leave it,
preserve the scene. Yeah. And that wasn't a thing back then in a lot of ways.
But he says that he says that he did it because he just wanted the police to see exactly what he saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I guess part of his brain too would be I didn't do this. You don't want to be,
sure.
He, I guess, is part of it too.
Yeah.
That he doesn't want to be pulled into this of you've done this to her.
Yeah.
But if he'd gone in and say knelt down to her or something, this killer could have come from behind him and he could have been the next victim.
Oh my God.
So easily.
Oh, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
There's another witness that sees a man who's around 5'8", late 30s, early 40s, chubby with hairy arms, running away in a direction away from the bookstore.
Yep, towards Hutton Street.
Yeah, at around this time.
Yep.
So apparently this man was balding. The worker was a railway signal man, and his statement remained the same. He made multiple statements over many, many years and he never changed what he said.
Yep.
So, that's another thing just to keep in mind.
On that Hutton Street, another witness was driving along and saw a man run across the road in front of the car because her husband was driving and she was in the passenger seat. She saw him run across the road and she saw a figure very similar build to the other descriptions, covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah, she said she was the one who said his sleeves were rolled up and his arms were covered in blood.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Ugh. So at this stage, it's time to pick the kids up from school.
Yeah.
So Mark was collected from school by their local priest, Father Bongiorno, who took him home. The police were there. Media was everywhere. His dad was still there being interviewed by the police because, I guess the first thing the police had to do was rule out John as a suspect.
Yeah,
because,
I think
he's the ex-husband.
Yeah.
He's found the body. That's, quite suspect, I suppose, potentially.
Yeah.
But they were able to easily corroborate his story.
From the secretaries passing on the phone call, the fact that the phone was still off the hook from that call. There was so many things.
The neighbour who said, he came to try and ring Maria and then make the 000 call. Like the neighbour was quite invested in what was going on. So
his story was completely corroborated by everyone that could corroborate it. That was there.
So he was actually ruled out pretty early on.
Yeah.
What the police did next is something that Ron now says, I don't know why we did this, and I didn't realise at the time, given it was his first homicide case. He's like, I didn't realise that this was not something that we shouldn't have been doing. But the shop was set up as like the local command centre under which the police were, conducting their operations.
I mean, and I get it. It makes sense to, for people to come in, like their eyewitness accounts. They knew where to come and give that statement, that they could gather all that information.
The police actually put a handwritten note on the front door. It looks like they've just cut a bit of cardboard out of something. Yeah. Like maybe like an old cereal box. That's literally
probably
what it looks
out of the
like.
kitchen.
And just written police operations and stuck it to the door of the stuck it to the door of the bookshop. Yeah.
And then they literally conducted these, interviews with eyewitnesses and things in the kitchen of the home. People would walk past the bedroom, which, yes, obviously at that point the body had been removed and things, and the furniture had been sort of moved and taken away for, preserving those things. But there was still the large blood, like, because Ron was saying they weren't cleaners back in those days, because that's something we could do another episode on. But yeah, the cleaners didn't come in those times, so there was just still all the blood-stained carpet all in the room. So people would come into the house and pass that and sit in the kitchen and have these interviews. But then they would, hey, would you like a cup of tea while you're doing this? And use all the crockery and things, and
crockery and cutlery.
They'd make a sandwich and they'd use the fridge and put their stuff in for the day while they were there. And so everything was being touched and handled, and had more people in the room and in the house.
I think it's worth noting that when the police arrived, on the kitchen table there were 2 coffee cups, and the cake was there, hadn't been touched. So that's, in and of itself, that's interesting. But then however many hundreds of people have potentially then gone through and used these cups and used the cutlery and used all of that stuff. Ron was saying they were working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week for 3 months out of that site.
Yeah.
So that you can just imagine how many people were coming and going and how much contamination of the crime scene there was.
He did say that the cups that were used, they were tested for fingerprints.
Yeah.
Nothing that was found on them, though. But they were at least tested for that prior to maybe being put back into the rotation.
Yeah.
But so they were at least prior to that, but not ideal at all. I mean, we know that now.
Yes.
But,
Mark recalls meeting Ron for the first time at his house that afternoon, and recalls Ron's empathetic nature. And so, I mean, Ron just seems like, such a salt of the earth type of a guy. As a 25-year-old young, inexperienced detective, he still had that as his core, personality, I guess. And that made a massive impact on Mark at a time where I guess, for a young boy to experience such tragedy in his life, to have somebody, a young cop who's sort of taken you under their wing, I can see how Mark would have derived comfort from that.
Oh, totally. To know that someone's, this is awful, this awful thing's happened, but there's someone who is, approachable, but you feel like is going to get the job done that needs to get done, because you want to know who did this to your mum.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Ron was saying their methodology was, because this is in the time before computers and all of that sort of stuff. So when they're investigating something, they have an index book.
Yes.
And
it's fascinating.
It's so fascinating. So they would say they had a person of interest named Bill Smith. They'd put it in the index book under Bill, under Smith, under Short, under bald, under whatever descriptors there are for him. Or if, for example, there's a red car, they'd file it under red, car. Number plate, and like N for number plate, and then the actual, what the number plate started with. And so the way they were keeping these records, and apparently this is how they investigated
it still,
a lot.
Apparently, yeah.
I think now obviously it's all digitized, but it's the same principle. They file everything in multiple ways so that you can't miss it if you're looking for a
Yeah.
car.
Someone else has mentioned a car. Oh,
Yeah.
hang on a minute. Well, someone else saw a red car, but this is a blue car.
Yeah.
It's not the same car, but
Yeah.
amazing how they do all that. And with it being handwritten at that point in time, it would have been very time consuming. Apparently that was one person's job, was literally, once all the statements were taken, was to go through their statement and do all that filing and indexing of information. And that was a full-time job.
It would be.
Yeah.
It absolutely would be.
Because they were getting many, many, many statements. People were coming through with lots of information. And look, some of it's relevant, but you've got to pick through this whole lot of stuff that's not relevant too.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and people are trying to be helpful, but obviously not all of the information is helpful. You've got to decide then what's worth investigating further and what's not.
But as the bystander, you don't know whether your information is helpful, and you should always assume it could be, and give the information and leave it to the experts to decide whether or not it is, because you never know. That little snippet that you thought was absolutely irrelevant could be the key to figuring all this out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was such a frenzied attack. The police were like, well, it's personal.
Yeah.
Something personal has happened here. Maria didn't have any defense wounds. She was attacked from behind. So what the police think happened was that whoever she was sitting down and having this coffee with, and whoever she'd bought this cake for to share morning tea, which we'll get to in a second, she's run away from them and tried to go and lock herself in her bedroom.
Because that was one room that had a lock on it.
It was the only room in the house that had a lockable door. Mm-hmm. She hasn't quite been able to get there without them also being able to get in. Mm. And they've stabbed her from behind.
Yeah.
So they think the fatal stab wound was actually inflicted quite early on in this frenzied attack.
Yeah.
But they have continued to stab her, as you said, 68 times.
And we also know that the weapon that was used was actually a knife from her kitchen. So like Ron Iddles has said that, there was a strong belief that the person didn't arrive there with intention to kill, that this person arrived at this house or bookshop, whichever, without that intent, and has used a weapon that was on hand for them. So, that's good to note.
She also suffered a significant blunt force trauma to the head. So whether that sort of knocked her out and then they were able to stab her, which caused her death, that's sort of not really, that timeline's not really known.
And their hands being bound to, from the autopsy report, could be, it was noted that happened quite possibly after death.
Yeah, I've got that noted as well.
Yeah.
What would be the motivation behind tying her hands after she died?
They believe to stabilise the body to move it.
Okay, and then that was interrupted by John.
Mm. So there's a lot of in the coroner's report, and that's, I think, after the fact, from what Ron has sort of brought to it as well, a lot of talk about this being sort of a bit ritualistic style killing, and so there is belief that the hands being bound was part of that whole ritualistic aspect of it.
Okay,
being done after the fact, because there was the way that it wasn't. There was the way the bruising was and things like that from the tying up. It was clearly done after the fact. It didn't show, it wasn't something that was done prior. So they believe that's part of the ritualistic process, but it also could help with stabilising a body that was going to be moved.
Oh, wow. Oh, poor Maria.
Oh, just awful. Nah.
Should we get into suspects now, do you reckon?
Let's do that. Let's jump down to that.
Okay. Suspect number one, the real estate agent she was seen talking to that morning.
Yes.
Maria had actually had an affair with this real estate agent.
Unbeknownst to her, I should say.
Well, unbeknownst to her, he was married.
Yeah.
She didn't know that.
She didn't know that. She thought she was genuinely dating a person that was on the market.
Yes. And she broke it off with him when she found out he was married.
Yes.
And so, again, the police put that the motive then would be that she broke up with him, and it's a bit of a blow to the ego.
Yeah.
And that
could that
be a motive, and could he have done it?
Yeah.
He was alibied 100%. Like, there was no shadow of a doubt. He was actually doing an open house showing, and multiple people saw him over that whole time period.
Yeah. So he was pretty very early on able to be ruled out for that reason, that he wasn't in the vicinity at all. Yeah.
The man with the briefcase.
Yep.
So Mario Falcucci was his name.
Yep.
He wanted to sell Maria these comic books that he had. So he lived around the corner from the bookshop, is that right? And he wanted to sell her these comic books that were quite sexually graphic in nature.
And well, for that time, I'm guessing too. She freaked out at them and said, no, thank you.
She was a devout Catholic as well. So maybe seeing it through that lens potentially.
No.
She was like, oh, no, I'm actually not going to sell those. Although she did sell pornography.
Oh, did she?
Yep,
I didn't read that.
Yes, she had pornographic magazines that she did sell. They were found hidden under a counter. So she obviously had a clientele who she would sell these for. But this guy seemed a bit weird.
Yes.
And maybe she just didn't want to engage in business with him.
And he got quite angry, apparently, when he couldn't sell them to her. Yeah. So there was, he was an interesting bloke. But I think the biggest thing with him, because this guy was Ron's front runner.
Yep.
So the biggest thing with him was when they went to his house to have a look for, any evidence there, they did stumble across a receipt for a dry cleaners, which he had gone the following day to Maria's death to have a pair of pants cleaned. And there was a note on the receipt that they cleaned a stain that that resembled blood, which, I mean...
Also, the other interesting thing is it's not only there was a dry cleaner on High Street. He drove 20 minutes.
20 kilometres.
Oh, 20 kilometres.
Yeah, 20 kilometres away to the dry cleaners to have that stain removed.
I mean, that looks sus
as hell. So that's why he became Ron's front runner.
Yeah. The other thing they found when they searched his house was twine that matched the twine that was that bound Maria's arm.
Yeah, out in the backyard. Yes,
out in his backyard.
It was very, very distinctly like the twine that was used. Yeah. So there was a number of things that have really
sort of added up for
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just absolutely crazy. Yeah, there was the note said query blood stain on top of trouser.
Yeah.
from the dry cleaner.
Yes, that's right. The next one on the list would probably be the Telstra guy.
Telecom worker.
The telecom worker.
Back in the day, it wasn't Telstra, it was Telecom.
Oh, yes. I remember those days. Oh,
same. I still remember the logo.
Yes, same.
He'd visited the bookshop a few times. I think he was
a bit keen.
Quite keen on Maria. And I don't think she necessarily reciprocated that same keenness, but she was very friendly and nice, and so he didn't feel like he couldn't go back.
Yeah.
So he'd gone and tried it on a few times, I think.
Yes.
He was interviewed by the police, and 2 days after he was interviewed, he committed suicide. Now, that also looks very suspicious.
Yeah. So, was that completely unrelated, or was that, a guilt thing?
What do you think?
I honestly don't know. Because the other stuff, I think, pulls me that way so much.
Oh, 100%. But then this is just, was he already in a space where this was something he was contemplating?
And and just the whole I loved her and she died, and so that's not now a prospect for me. And was that just all a bit of a culmination of stuff for him that was going on? Because you don't know any of that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what to make of it at all. And DNA wasn't a thing then, so they couldn't rule him out and couldn't clear him.
Yeah, and it wasn't a standard thing to take a DNA swab.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't a thing.
No, from a suspect, which is what they would do these days. They would get consent to take that sample.
Yes.
So I guess to this day, he still remains a suspect.
He's still on the.
Still on the list.
Yeah, yeah. There was two real estate agents out the front as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, and obviously they're ruling out the one that she had a relationship with.
Yeah.
The other guy they haven't been able to find. They've been trying to track him down for a long time. So he's another one that sort of is a little bit. I don't think he's got anything to do with it. It's more the other real estate agent that happened to both be standing there, at the time. But but they still haven't actually been able to find him.
No one's been able to find him.
No.
Okay. So we're going to jump a little bit now.
Yeah.
We're actually going to jump to August 19... Nope, sorry. Yes, August 1998. Father Bongiorno. So in the parish that Maria and the boys lived in, they attended church. Maria was quite a devout Catholic. She was, she attended church. Mark attended the Catholic primary and then went on to attend the Catholic high school as well.
Yeah.
This was around the time, so we're fast forwarding a fair bit here. We're fast forwarding 18 years. This was at a time when all of those Catholic church accusations were coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
About priests having absolutely inappropriate sexual relationships with young boys.
Yeah.
One of Mark's mum's friends found out that Father Bongiorno had been interviewed by the police in relation to sex offences against children. And she contacted Mark and said to him, "Did that ever happen to you?" And Mark said, "Oh, no, that never happened to me."
Yeah.
And this friend said to him, "Well, what about Adam?" And Mark was like, "Oh, I don't think so. Like, he's never said anything.
Yeah.
But I'll ask him."
Yeah.
So a few days later, Mark was driving Adam somewhere. They were in the car, and Mark asks Adam the question and fully expects him to just say, No, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened to me. But, he says yes. And he tells the story about how Father Bongiorno, how he molested him.
Yeah.
And how frequently it happened. And look, if you want to hear details about all that, you can. It's outlaid in the Trace podcast, which is absolutely where you should go if you want to listen to anything or want to know anything more about this case.
Yep.
Rachel Brown did the most amazing job. She is incredible.
Yeah.
She's an incredible investigative journalist.
So good.
Well, it makes me so emotional thinking about this, because this poor boy who had disabilities, who felt like he couldn't say no, was subject.
What gets me with it is these priests, well, Bongiorno literally said to him, that if you tell someone, then you're not special anymore and God won't protect you. But this is happening because you're special. But if you tell someone, then you're not special and God won't protect you.
He's hiding
such a manipulation of
It's
someone's
disgusting.
beliefs and faith that, I just find it revolting.
It is revolting. He also told, Father Bongiorno was found much later on to have perpetrated these just the most horrific acts upon many, many young boys.
Mm-hmm.
And he told a lot of them that he had very powerful friends. And
they would God.
Yeah. And they would inflict harm upon their families if they told anyone. So in light of this, Adam then tells Mark that the day that Father Bongiorno molested him, he told his mum. So at this point in time, at that very moment in time, the only two people ever that Adam ever disclosed this information to was his mum on the 16th of June in 1980.
The day before she
was found dead. And to Mark in 1998. So in light of this, Mark sort of goes into action mode. I mean, hearing him discuss this on the Trace podcast, he's a 53-year-old man, or 50, he's in his 50s anyway.
Now.
He's in tears discussing this, as you would be. It's
hearing
so
that about
raw.
you, that your brother's experienced that, and I can't even imagine.
And Mark is Adam's protector.
Yeah. Well, we should say that. When Maria, the day of before she took the kids to school that day, and the weekend prior, she had said to Mark, if anything was to ever happen to me, look after your brother Adam, which he said that's not something that was prior to that ever discussed. Oddly enough, that morning she said that to him, which I think as a mum, deep down, I think what she was saying to him was, we need to keep a closer eye on him with these things that are going on. I don't think she was predicting her own death necessarily, but she was like, hey, we need to both be more aware of, people around Adam, and be on
Mark
top
says
of this.
that as a 13-year-old, he was like, yeah, whatever.
Whatever, Mum.
Yeah, get me my scrambled eggs.
Yeah. It just
But
breaks
like in
my
hindsight,
heart.
he now looks back at that and he's like, oh, she knew something.
She knew this was that stuff was going on.
I mean, I think to Mark, that was confirmation for him that Adam had disclosed to her the day before.
And that she was going to do something about it. Like this wasn't something she was just letting go.
So she told Adam that morning. So Mark had gone off to school. She told Adam that morning that she was going to call Father O'Keefe, who was Father Bongiorno's boss at the local parish, and report what had happened. And she actually said to Adam, I will sort this out. So Adam's gone off to school thinking nothing else of that, right?
Yeah.
He's come home from school and his mum is dead, has been murdered. Now, what kind of internalized guilt must he have felt?
This is the thing where his disabilities, I think, have been over. It's shadowed the police officers, unfortunately, as to not interviewing him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wonder, would he have disclosed that to police officers? If he had been asked, and obviously not being asked, he didn't. But if he had been directly asked, is there something that that could link this up?
They never interviewed
Him.
They
because
interviewed
they
Mark.
assumed he wouldn't have anything to add. And actually, he may actually hold the key to it all.
Yeah. And Ron says that was he cannot believe they did that
do that. He said it's another one of those things, as well as setting up shop. Setting up the police operations in the shop and in the house being wrong. This is the other big flag of his that he sees, that you can't dismiss someone as not having something relevant to add, as close to the victim as a son, especially whether they have any disability or anything going on like that. They should be asked questions and given opportunity to give their story.
Absolutely. So we're fast forwarding now. I think I said 2018 before. It was actually 2013 that this all came about.
Yeah.
Mark called Ron right away.
Yeah.
And Ron took a statement from Adam immediately. And what they discovered through that process of taking the statement was that Adam had actually been not only assaulted by Father Bongiorno, he'd also been assaulted by Father O'Keefe. And they think it happened 3 times in the preceding weeks to Maria's death.
Yeah.
Adam's account, which, he absolutely remembers it. Of course he does. This was such a traumatic and of course he remembers it all. He was actually able to give a really detailed account of what happened, when it happened, and how it happened, because each time, unfortunately, the events were escalating. What they were perpetrating on him was escalating, and so he was able to give very detailed accounts of that.
It's awful. I can't even handle it.
I just can't even believe it.
No.
The fact that Father Bongiorno was then the priest who was sent to the school to pick up Mark on the day his mum died. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So now we've got, in everyone's mind now, we're further down the path, but we've now got 2 more suspects to add to the list. So we've got Father Bongiorno and Father O'Keefe. On the day of the murder, an electrician by the name of Alan Herco was working on an electrical box at the presbytery. Yeah. He saw a man he didn't, it's not like he worked for the church or anything like that. He was just an electrician who needed to come and fix something. On that day, he saw a man come into the presbytery. He was about 8 meters away from him, so not far. There was blood on the side of his face and there was blood on his arms.
Yeah, all up his hands.
And on his hands. And he was wearing a black shirt and black slacks.
Oh, did he have his robes on?
No, I don't. Oh, no. I've written down that he was wearing a black shirt and black slacks with his sleeves rolled up.
Yeah, right.
He described him as a short, stocky man. And he said to him, "Oh, what have you done to yourself?" And he said, "I cut my face on the roses near the wire fence." With that, this man, this priest, goes into the presbytery house, and there's yelling in Italian. And the electrician's like, "I know what Italian sounds like. It wasn't Greek, it was Italian, 100%. What is, I guess, inferred by that is that Father Bongiorno's gone in with blood all over him, and the housekeeper who worked at the house, who is now thought to be living back in Italy, interestingly enough, was yelling at him, and I'm guessing going, what have you done? What's happening? Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
They've never been able to interview her or find her. Yeah.
I think they know she's in Italy, though, but they haven't been able to specifically locate her.
Yeah.
And whether she's even still alive.
Well, I was going to say,
actually
it's quite
don't
possibly
know.
now she could be dead.
Yeah, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
Ellen Herco now knows that the man that he saw that day is Father Bongiorno, because as all of this was starting to come out, obviously photos of the priest are coming out with a name, and he's like, "Oh, that's the guy
man
I saw that day. That is the man I saw that day covered in blood."
Yeah.
So he's then made a statement to the police.
And I don't know what you think of this, but the other witnesses on the day who speak about seeing, the white T-shirt man and also the black slacks, black T-shirt person, the images, there's two different images of those people that have come out. And I could believe that they were the same person, described by different people. I think there's some similarities.
Yes, I would agree with
I could
that.
believe someone saying, no, they are different people too, but obviously different people's perspectives see different things. But I could believe that they could be the same person. But the particular one where it's like a full body description,
Yes.
that looks like Father Bongiorno.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I'm not crazy.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put something on that.
No.
I definitely look at that image and go, well, I could see that would be a description of him. Yeah.
For sure.
Stocky, 5 foot
And
8-ish.
like with the brushed back
the
sort of thinning
thin
hair.
like your receding hairline and the shape of the face and everything.
Very rounded face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think absolutely it could be him.
Yeah.
The changing clothes. So the fact that someone's seen a man in a white shirt and blue slacks.
That's why I was like
and
could that be black robes? And then.
But somebody saw a man in black.
But it was
clothing.
shadowy.
Shadowy, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, did he have his robes on and he's taken the robes off and underneath was white T-shirt, blue?
But that's why I think when Ellen Herco saw him at the presbytery, he was wearing a black shirt.
Yeah, right.
Not his robes.
Yeah, okay.
So that kind of throws things a little bit, but I do have a theory about it. But I think this is everyone's theory, so it's not like my theory is necessarily unique.
No.
So in 1998, Father Bongiorno was convicted of child sex offences. But
not of Adam.
Not of Adam,
yeah.
because at this stage he hadn't made his statement
Yes.
yet. But he didn't, he just got shunned, as in they put him in a different...
What? They did that with so many. They put him out of school, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They put him out of school, which blows my mind.
But kept an eye on him.
But the school they sent him
wasn't he
to...
in prison?
Oh, my God. The school they sent him to, though, is where the church was sending all of these people that those sorts of things were coming out about. So any information of that priest might be doing this, they would move him to this school. So all of a sudden you've got a group of them working together in one place at a school of all places. It just
honestly, the Catholic
blows
Church
my mind.
has a lot to answer for with all this.
Is it? Oh, no.
I think that we can't get into that because that's just... But I think it's worth noting at this time as well, in the 80s, there was sort of two factions of Vic Police. There was the Catholics.
Yeah. Yep.
And when there was a Catholic head of Vic Pol,
yep,
that was sort of the dominant, I don't know, faction of the police. I query whether at this time cover-ups were made potentially because these priests were put into the picture.
Yes. Because we find out, like, there was DNA evidence that was found later on. Once DNA became a thing, there was DNA that was found in this case. But it turns out that...
Well, the DNA was used at that point. So they've tested the exhibits that were related to this case once DNA came in. And they eliminated all of the suspects on the list except for the telecom worker because they didn't have his DNA.
Yes. Yeah.
They ruled
or the
out...
other second real estate agent they can't find.
Yes.
But,
sorry.
Yep,
yes, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
They ruled everyone else out based on this DNA.
Bongiorno.
They ruled out Bongiorno, O'Keefe, everyone.
Yeah. But it turned out that DNA profile came from an item that wasn't from the crime scene. It had been mixed in, and the pieces from the crime scene from Maria James's crime scene had actually gone missing.
Gone missing?
Gone missing?
Seriously?
And apparently this was not the only case that's happened with.
So Ron Iddle says the Victoria Police don't have a great track record in evidence keeping prior to a certain year. And this is absolutely the case here. So what actually happened was there was a pillowcase from a case that happened, I think, days after Maria's.
Yeah.
So it was the next exhibit. Say it was exhibit 275 and Maria's was 274.
Convenient.
Yeah. The pillowcase from case 275 was put in the bag and boxed with all of Maria's exhibits.
Yeah.
The DNA that was used to exclude all of those suspects, including Fathers Bongiorno and O'Keefe, was from...
Not related to that.
The exhibit from case 275.
Yeah. So you're ruling out people from actually murdering someone else, not Maria.
This bungle was not actually discovered until Rachel Brown in 2017 started this Trace podcast.
Yeah.
And they discovered that as you said, not only had they compared this DNA against something completely unrelated to Maria's case.
Yeah.
They had also lost or misplaced the bedspread that was covered in blood.
Yeah.
And the pillow.
The actual
not
pillow.
the pillowcase.
No, it was the pillow.
An actual pillow that was also saturated in blood. Maria's blood.
Yes.
And potentially the blood of...
Because they generally say that Ron was explaining that, with the way that particularly with this frenzied attack, obviously as they're stabbing, more often than not a hand will slip down the knife and they will cut themselves in some way. So in this kind of a crime scene, it's more likely that you're going to find some blood of the perpetrator because they're going to nick themselves or cut themselves at some point.
Yeah.
That just repulses me. But yeah, with how frenzied it is, that will slip and cut themselves.
So they've ruled out all these people that shouldn't have been ruled out based on DNA.
Yeah, so you basically sort of take it back to square one because they did rule out like Mario, who, Ron, as I say, Ron's front runner was ruled out only due to DNA in the end. So as much as when it happened, didn't have DNA and he was definitely the front runner, then they got to a point, I think in the 90s it would have been, wasn't it? They finally got the DNA and they tested Mario at that point and ruled him out on the DNA. Turns out now he's back on the list, so he's another one along with Father Bongiorno now because we've got further information down the track about other motives, whereas Mario's motive, I guess, isn't as higher ranked in terms of possibilities, but still... Now they're all in the mix again. God, just awful.
It's horrible.
For Mark and Adam, awful.
Just the roller coaster of this whole thing.
Yeah.
These two men,
yeah.
Mark and Adam, they are dogged and unrelenting in trying to find out what happened for their mum, their mum, and to get some justice for her because that's all they've got. It's such a horrific... thing for them.
Well, I mean, we can probably go down the track now of like what then Rachel also discovered in her investigations, which really bring, I think, Bongiorno and O'Keefe to the real forefront of this being quite possibly what went on somehow. is that she discovered all these other victims of both those priests who have come forward and have told their stories, and they are horrific stories to the point where, you know, obviously they don't have physical evidence of these events taking place. It is memories of what happened. And so her original reading of one of these victims particularly, she really had to go into it thinking, is this even true? Like, surely that can't be true, you know. But getting into it more and more and listening to psychologists who have sat down with these people. Ron himself has interviewed this victim who believes every word he says. They believe that there is absolute fact here that there was a real pedophile ring, that a cult of sorts he said that he was basically being brought into as a victim being sexually assaulted by these priests and brought into this cult where he witnessed 4 people being murdered. It just blows my mind. And when I'm listening to Rachel and Trace, which I highly recommend anyone listen to that and have her tell this story more clearly and more thoroughly than we are going to go into it. But hearing like how he witnessed these things and that there were actual news articles written about these things, but it was just enough covered. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a big story and people were like, well, who is this and who did this? They were very
people demanding justice.
Yeah.
Like, which, I mean, in this day and age.
Surely. But it was just reported on enough. Like, it really was odd.
Agreed.
That there was evidence that, these events occurred. They marry up with this, what he's saying.
Yeah.
But not depth of it of like, you know, we need to stop this and get this, you know, find out what's going on
These
here.
people need to be in prison.
Yeah.
Or at least sent to trial.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
And the way he described times where how people were bound, like which connected to Maria, and these ritualistic style killings that were happening with this cult situation. And this Peter O'Keefe, the priest who was the head of the church, he was forefront in all of that. And sounded like quite an evil piece of shit.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
As with Bongiorno.
Oh, totally. But, like, if you wanted to rank him, like,
he was
like sort of one of the leaders of this, and Bongiorno was definitely on for the ride, which just, it's repulsive.
Absolutely repulsive. And how dare they hide behind being men of faith?
Oh. The last of, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I really can't grapple any of it. Like, I just don't.
No. Well, no, it is unfathomable. It's you can't, of course, you can't. You can't make sense of it because it doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, you can't even imagine.
No.
One of the suspects that we also haven't spoken about, which I just sort of
literally
saw in my
just going to say the same thing. Yes.
Peter Keogh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we could do a whole episode on.
We absolutely could. So Peter Keogh murdered his girlfriend or wife? Girlfriend. She was a kindergarten teacher.
Yep.
And he's a very, very bad man. Very bad.
I'd rank the Supreme Court judge as bad too, though, in some ways.
Go on.
So Keogh was convicted of the murder of Cleary was her name. I can't remember her first name. I apologise for that. So he was sentenced by the judge, right? Because the reason that was given by the defence as to why this occurred was that she'd broken up with him.
Oh.
Okay. So he used a term that is no longer allowed to be used in our court system, of using the provocation defence. And the provocation was that she had broken up with him.
No way.
The jury had found that he was not a master of his mind at the time due to this, right? So then the judge felt that, this is the judge's words, was that Peter O'Keefe felt let down and angry. So he sentenced...
Peter Keogh?
Peter Keogh, sorry, I God. And so the judge sentenced him to a maximum of 8 years in prison, and he served 3 years and 11 months of that and then was freed out into the community.
I did not know that. That is disgusting.
Isn't that revolting?
That is so bad.
And the thing is, like, this is the one that he was convicted of.
Yeah.
As we say, we'll do a whole episode on him because there's so
much.
many things.
So much.
That he did.
I didn't realise that though. So Peter Keogh had a friend.
Yeah.
And his friend's girlfriend at the time, she has since come out and spoken about, and you can listen to her on the Trace podcast.
Yeah.
She's since come out and said that Peter and Maria had a brief dalliance.
Yeah.
And so they were sort of seeing each other and keeping in mind what he's done to his previous girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he was overheard by this lady saying to someone, I will do to you what I did to the woman in the bookshop.
Yeah.
So, okay, take that as it is. At the time of Maria's death, this lady was driving with Peter Keogh and her boyfriend in the car. They were getting close to Maria's bookshop and he's like, nope, stop. I've got to get out of the car. Things are getting too hot. I can't be around here anymore, and would not even go near High Street Thornbury.
Right. Because there's no evidence that they ever even met and came in contact with each other.
No, but this lady has nothing to
gain
by saying this. And she feels like now, because he's deceased.
Yeah.
She feels like she can speak out. But at the time, because they asked her, why didn't you come forward at the time when you heard him saying, I'll do to you what I did to the woman in the bookshop?
Yeah.
And also this experience of him not wanting to go anywhere near the bookshop.
Yeah.
And she said, I was deathly afraid. I would have lost my life.
Yeah.
Had I come forward. I couldn't say anything.
Yep. Completely get that. Completely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So yeah, there is that claim there, but yeah, they've never been able to marry up any, like this they're saying, so many things point to this person that was there being someone she knew, someone that, was known to her. It wasn't just someone who just walked in the door of the bookshop, kind of thing.
By person
and they can't marry up at any point where they knew each other, had met. So, but maybe we just don't know. But that
in
happened.
1982, there was a coronial inquest that found that she was murdered by a person unknown.
Yeah.
Because of the Trace podcast and all that, there's so many other pieces. I mean, we could probably talk for another hour on all of the other evidence that was uncovered by Rachel Brown's and the Trace team's investigation into this. There's that they found hair fibers, they found a book with blood on it, they found lots and lots of different items, which were then, along with Adam's statement, were taken to the coroner, and a coronial inquest was granted for them, and the finding was handed down in 2024.
Yeah,
so
it took them a long time to
come to a
conclusion.
To come together.
Yeah.
I think they announced the coronial inquest, was it in 2020? And then the finding was... Or 2021. And the finding was handed down in June of 2024, so not that long ago.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the coroner still found that Maria was murdered by a person unknown. So that doesn't mean unknown to her.
No.
It just means unknown to the community.
A lot of other times they'll come down with it. From their perspective, they believe
the balance
it's this
of probability,
person.
because that's the thing with a coronial inquest. They don't have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. They can suggest that on the balance of probability, this is what happened.
And that should be investigated further.
Yeah. So with an open finding like this, though, what the coroner has implored Victoria Police to do is to continue investigating this, and has told them they need to have the hair fibres that have been found analysed. They need to look at the blood. They need to further investigate fathers Bongiorno and O'Keefe, who are both deceased.
Both dead. And would they then potentially exhume those bodies?
Well, this is something that I guess would have to come. But, I mean, Ron says the exhumation of a body is like the hardest thing to get permission to do, which is completely understandable.
I don't reckon those two deserve any respect.
They
I'm
don't.
Sorry,
they don't, given
opinion.
everything else.
No, I think they just... it costs money. I get that. but I don't think there should be any weight given to, you know, respecting the family or whatever of these two pieces of shit. Because there's enough evidence to say that they are pieces of shit.
Yeah. I know Father O'Keefe had a twin brother. Yeah. And they do have DNA
He's dead
from
too, though.
Yes, but they do have his DNA.
Yes. So I mean, I guess if they could get a match with familiar DNA, then that would be helpful to then go, right, we will exhume the body to confirm this entirely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
Yeah. Whereas they don't have a DNA sample from Father Bongiorno.
No. And it must be female linked.
Yes, it is.
Because it's mitochondrial DNA that they grasp.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't go down the path of, say, if the twin brother had a child, that won't actually give you the right DNA. Well, it comes from the mother's side of the family. Yeah. So if you had a sister and they had children,
that would be
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So look, it's a really complicated and complex thing. I just have also made a note here just showing how much of a piece of shit Father O'Keefe was.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually also accused of necrophilia.
Ugh.
And like that just goes to show how perverted and weird and just totally fucked up this whole thing was.
Yeah. What blows my mind is that there were people that have come forward about this stuff and the church just move them. They don't prosecute them.
It would be very different today.
Oh, I bloody hope so.
Oh, it would be. It absolutely would be.
It's still, though, I mean, it's institutionalised abuse, you know, and this is the thing. They get away with this stuff by using the faith, you know, and they hold that over people, and people don't feel safe coming forward.
Back in the day, I remember my grandma, so my family are Catholic, and I remember my grandma, you know, to her priest, and look, my uncle is actually a Catholic brother and is literally the nicest person to walk this earth. Like, he's an incredible man. But I know my grandmother had so much, it was something that even as a kid, I don't know, I found interesting. Like, it definitely piqued my interest that the priest was like the knower of everything. And I think in those days, that is what priests were to a lot of people. They were the pillars of the community. You believed what they said. You did what they said. Yep. Similarly, like doctors, you know, my grandparents would go to the doctor and not question anything they said. They would do everything that a doctor said. Whereas these days we think about things more critically and we can go and
Google things ourselves.
Well, that's true too. But we can go to the doctor and say, oh, actually, no, I think this, like, these are my symptoms and this is what's going on. And that doesn't seem quite right to me, or whatever. You can challenge people in authority like that, or people. But back in the day, you never did that.
You didn't question them.
You didn't question a priest. You didn't question a doctor.
Young boys who came forward to their parents or, you know, to a sibling or someone or a, you know, close friend and said that these things happened to them. And they weren't believed because they wouldn't believe that the priest could do those things. I hope that now people are knowing that they can come forward and will be believed. You know, that there's been enough. Those people who first have done this, all credit to be those people who've pushed through to, you know, be vocal about this, because it would have been so hard to break through that.
And all credit to Adam, you know, for coming forward and disclosing this, because it really changed course of action in terms of investigating this case, and hopefully at some point,
I mean, I'm fingers crossed that this is another Easy Street, you know, because as we both know that we recorded Easy Street and we're like, yep, that's in the bag, and you know that we'll never find an answer to that one, you know, and then I think we recorded that, and then about 3 weeks later there was the massive breakthrough.
Look, in this I feel like there's a lot of potential because as DNA techniques get more and more sensitive, I think the profiles that they've been able to obtain from certain things will be able to get more specific and find more matches that will then link the people who are actually to blame in this case. And
look, the gut instinct is we're going to potentially find out this person is dead who's done this.
Yeah.
But I think, particularly for Adam and Mark, that closure, that you know, knowledge of having someone accountable in the sense of just knowing that they've been named publicly that they did this to their mum, I think will be so cathartic for them to be able to be settled I think they need that, and I think they deserve it.
Oh,
well,
they 100% deserve it.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm really hopeful that we'll be having an update for this, and we'll get them.
Yeah, I hope so too. Look, as we've said throughout this whole episode, if you want to know anything more, listen to the Long Form Trace podcast. It is incredible journalism.
It's an easy listen, to be honest too. They're only like 30-minute episodes that she did, but she's so good, and every episode is very much, like new information,
and
stuff.
It's all packed with information. There's no filler there.
No.
Like, it is all very like,
it's very good.
She's
podcast.
all over it, and she's the way she presents it with so much empathy. And professionalism, and you can just tell she's so invested in the outcome of this, as to this day, so many people.
And Ron, I loved hearing like Mark say that to this day, Ron Iddles is in contact with him. He will just, he's a retired, he has no, money in this, like whatsoever. But he will still contact Mark and check in on him and Adam, and just even just how you going? Like, let alone, we've got some information sort of helping out and stuff. So he, during her podcast, the Trace podcast, Ron Iddles retired.
Yes.
And even to there's one episode where she says he was 3 days from retirement, and he should have been planning that and doing the various things, and he was on the phone to her because this case is the one he wants solved, even to this day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's hope that in the future. Look, I really feel like, this case can be solved.
I think so.
It's potentially going to take time and some further development in terms of new DNA extraction techniques and that kind of thing, but I think it's absolutely solvable. I suspect that both Fathers O'Keefe and Bongiorno were somehow caught up in this.
Do you have a theory on how that day took place, with the sightings?
The only thing that gets me, so I always thought Father Bongiorno for sure, solo. I wonder, the thing that makes me think that Father O'Keefe was also involved is the sighting of the man in the white shirt and blue slacks. I think that was him. Yeah. But then there were only 2 cups at Maria's. Mm-hmm. So did only Father Bongiorno come? And then Father O'Keefe was like in hiding somewhere. Like, did they know they were going to be doing this? The fact that both of the priests had molested Adam at this point.
They were both, in it.
They were both in on it.
Yep.
They both had something to hide. I think it's not unreasonable to assume that both of them went there, maybe not with the intent to murder her, although now knowing what we do know about them, maybe they had intended to murder her. I don't know. The thing, and it happened so quickly too, because it was from the time when Maria phoned John, I don't think they were there then.
No, not her. I think her original phone call to John, was to say to him, I've got the priest coming over. I'm going to talk to them about this. This is what's happened to Adam. I think they had the sort of relationship that she would have been informing the child's father of what was going on, so I think that's why she rang him.
8 minutes later, she's dead.
And because I kind of it's just one of this little piece of the puzzle that I'm like, if only she had said to him on that phone call, hold on, sorry, Father Bongiorno's here. I'm just like, it literally, or whoever's name it was, or if she had just said so-and-so's here.
It would have been a totally different story.
And put that phone down and walked away from that phone. Yes, it probably wouldn't have stopped unfortunately her murder, but at least we could have named who was in that place at that time. As
we said back when we were first starting this, the fathers were never suspects back then.
Nope.
It was as Ron said, it wasn't even a thought to assume clergy members would,
not in the 80s,
would be involved in something like that. So they got away with it for such a long time. Well, they both died before
anyone knows anything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What do you think happened?
I think it's them.
Do you think both of them?
I think
it's hard, isn't it?
I know, because I think definitely Bongiorno, I think he fits the descriptions of who was seen, but then the black shirt thing gets me. And that's where I was like, or maybe he was wearing, maybe it was his robes on and off, you know, like in terms of maybe he was wearing them. He took them off because he was running us from a scene and maybe put them back on again when he arrived at the church, you know, and that's that I could kind of see marrying those two things up, the black and then the white tops.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, but then if it's definitely a shirt, not robes, that changes that. So,
and if you look at the physical descriptions of the people who were seen running from the scene, they're different enough.
Yeah.
And Father O'Keefe was physically different to Father Bongiorno.
Yes.
But then the yelling in Italian in the presbytery, that would have been to Father Bongiorno.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then look, maybe they both arrived originally, but one left and one stayed, you know, and so maybe only one was there when Mr. James arrived. Maybe the other one had already left, and that's why there's sightings of different people in a short period of time.
Yep.
Because I mean, the timeline, you know, people, you know, you can say I was driving down such and such street. Oh, it must have been 12:30. It could have been 12:15,
or it could have been 12:35. Like 5 minutes would make a difference.
It would make a difference in terms of that, but it might mean that, you know, say O'Keefe has left first, and he's seen running away from the scene because he knows, you know, a stab has already taken place, kind of thing, and he's like, I'm out of here, but thank goodness I'll leave you to take care of that, will I?
Or maybe he went to go and do something in terms of moving the body or something.
Exactly,
as well.
get something to move the body.
Yeah,
I don't know. And
who
so
knows?
in between of that, that's when John James has rocked up at the door.
Yeah.
And so then there's only one person left in, and that person's also then seen exiting the scene.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's definitely room for movement in both being there.
Yeah, I agree.
But whether or not, I mean, because I always thought, you know, in my mind originally when I was thinking, yes, the priests are involved, I thought they'd get someone else entirely to actually do the murder. But it turns out that no, when you hear then the evidence of the James was his name, was one of the victims, that his story of being involved in this cult situation and these ritualistic killings, nope, they're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's been so clearly being able to be linked up that was O'Keefe involved in those situations, that I think that we cannot rule out that was very much a possibility.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is our opinion and our speculation, and we don't know.
No.
But look, I think that's my front runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely my front runner. I know we still haven't ruled out then, you know, the Mario and the telecom guy and things like that. But to me, the motive of the priests overrules any motives of someone else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a lot to hide.
Yeah.
A lot to hide.
Yeah. They deserve to rot in hell.
They sure as shit do.
I really hope that they're enjoying living down there.
Yeah.
Because that's where they belong.
That's it. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. As we said, so much more to cover.
Oh, yeah.
Trace podcast. Go for it. There's not a lot else out there otherwise. You can read the coronial report, which is...
That's a read.
It's a read. It's like 85 or 88 pages, something like that.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of detail in that as well.
Yeah.
And it shows where it's very, very clear what the coroner wants Victoria Police to investigate. So let's hope
that's what's going on.
Going to happen,
hopefully
or
in the
that's
background.
what's happening right now. And and I know resourcing is difficult. The cold case squad, you know, that all of our resources are limited, but at some point this will come back around, and hopefully as technology progresses, we'll get some answers for Maria's family and for Maria.
That's it. She deserves that. And her boys deserve that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, next week, what are we doing?
The Manson family.
I just don't even know where we're gonna how we're gonna do this one.
This will be I think I have to get my head in it and
same.
work it out from there.
Yeah,
I feel like this is one where we could bring some different stuff.
Agreed. Yeah,
so we'll see where we come to.
Yeah, we've mentioned the Manson family in one of our previous podcasts. What was it?
Anne Hamilton Burke.
That's right.
The family.
The family. Yes. Oh, this will be
MK Ultra.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, this will be an interesting one. A nice week of research for us ahead.
Yes. Oh,
excellent.
So much.
Thank you so much for joining us again, and we look forward to seeing you or having you all join us next week. Don't forget you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/2 crime besties, and please follow us on our socials. We've had so many people join us on Instagram. Please keep that coming.
Yeah, and
all
TikTok.
Of the comments, TikTok. Did we do our shout out?
We did. Did we?
Oh, I don't think we did. We had a shout out today.
I feel like we talked about it so much before the show that I'm like, was that then or was that when we were recording?
I feel like we didn't do our shout out.
Oh
so
God,
we have had the most glorious comment from a listener. Her name is Sarah Cole. Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah. You made our day the other day when your message came through. Meg and I were both at work, and Meg sent me a message saying, check out this Instagram message that we just received. It gave us the biggest boost, and we really appreciate it when people contact us. So please keep it coming.
And I guess on that, we probably should touch base on where we're at with Housewives maybe next week. So.
Oh, yeah, good point. Actually, there is some juicy stuff going down because Real Housewives, we are up to reunion for Salt Lake City, and it is, oh, my God. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, man.
I just love it. It's the best. All right, we'll talk about that next week.
All right, just for you, Sarah. Yeah. Love it. All right, well, everyone stay curious. Crime Besties.
Bye.
See ya.